So, probably like 30 seconds. I'm gonna start. I ain't gonna lie, I'm tired. So, I might not even be on this joint too long, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see. I might fail my hope or something, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. All right. What's up, everybody? This is me, Brandon, aka Get That Drums, aka He's Just Churchy, aka B, whatever you want to call me. It's another installment of Musician Sabbath Mondays, hosted by me. Um, hope everybody's Sunday went well. I hope everybody's Monday went well as well. Sunday for me, honestly, it was cool. The church I play at, it was their Unity Day, so it was one of those longer than usual services. A lot of extra stuff going on. You got, also a fellowship service. So there was another church that came through. They sang their two songs. You know, everybody did their thing. So it was a cool service. The only thing about that service was that the colors that we had to wear, as far as like the music ministry, or I guess for the entire day, was pretty much orange and gray. Only problem is I don't have any gray in my wardrobe. So I just settled for a gray sweater and some black jeans. So, I mean, honestly, nobody probably really paid attention or saw me because we have a drum cage. So, most likely people only saw like the top half. So, yeah, it was cool though. It's always fun playing. I don't know. It's just not what I just like playing drums. So, I always have fun, doing what I love, doing it for the Lord. Of course, with a touch of that nervousness, like just want things to go well. But I think for the most part, I think things went pretty well yesterday. Today it was cool. I had work, the usual. I work from 5 to 2, so I try to get in bed early as early as I can the night before to wake up at 4 o'clock or somewhere around there to get to work by 5. So yeah, that was cool. Um, hope everybody's like I said, Sunday's going well. I don't know if anybody else had a special service or whatever, but that's kind of how ours went. You know, it's also fun. The thing about being a musician is like it ain't like a professional gig where you get songs like well in advance. Like it really, being in church really tests your retention skills as a musician. Like you really gotta like as soon as they give you a song, you gotta make sure you learn that joint. You know what I mean? Our band is pretty locked too, so we really didn't rehearse together. To be honest with you, we didn't rehearse together at all for yesterday. So it's also pretty dope when you have a bunch of guys who can you know learn the music on their own. You know, make time. On their own to like really learn music. That's a dope thing. I've been in a situation where I was in a band where that wasn't the case. I mean, and it made rehearsals or made even sound checks a little unbearable. So again, I'm glad to have guys that you know they take pride in at least knowing enough of the music to where like it makes things run smoothly. You feel me? My boy Makai Boone, he plays keys. He's actually a drummer for real, but he plays keys well too. Um, Mike McKenzie, he's the MD. He plays organ. Wendell Floyd, he plays lead guitar. And then of course me, I play drums. And Mike McKenzie also plays key bass. So we pretty much got a full band, of course, with a side of click track. So that's where you also get, your percussion sounds in there. You know what I mean? That's always fun. I actually do, for the most part, I do the programming. Like I come up with the tracks and everything. So that's also a time where I get to kind of like have fun with it. Like I get to like go throughout the weeks or go throughout the day, trying different sounds, putting certain sounds together, trying to figure out what makes sense with the song, you know, just to, what I mean, because for real, every track don't go with every song. You know what I mean? Like it's really a feel thing. So that's something that I like to do too. If I'm not doing anything or if I'm, bored during my lunchtime, like I'm not gonna lie, like I take my laptop with me pretty much with me every day to work just to play with tracks, make up random tracks, whatever. So that's a fun thing too. Um, so yeah, today we're gonna call this. I want to say to church or not to church, or just to call it why church. Um, Point being is, I don't want to start this out with a rant, but or a venting session, but I'm just go there. I honestly like as a believer who's been in like I've been saved like a long time, like pretty much my whole life, whatever, right? Like I really hate to see like how other believers like really go ham on stuff that has to do with the church. Like I really don't like seeing people who've been saved for a while like just constantly post about how bad the church is. Like I feel like that's a bad representation. Like I feel like people don't specify that that's their experience. So I feel like it comes off as like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go to church because it seems like everybody is doing whatever this person posted the other day. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you was abused, not making light of that, but if you was abused in church, like I feel like you shouldn't first of all, I feel like you shouldn't really post about it because I feel like when you're in that position of like facing abuse, I feel like you ain't really thinking straight. So you just trying to get off what you're trying to get off and going about your business or whatever. But I just feel like sometimes specifying that that's your experience, I think that helps because you don't want the next person thinking that, oh, you know, whatever church I go to, I guess I'll have to, expect that. Nah. So I think that's definitely something a topic I wanted to cover. And also just, just on things to look out for. Even when you're looking for a church or when you already joined a church or you've been going to a church and you're trying to figure out, okay, what's next? Or even after you've joined the church and you're like, okay, so I joined the church. How do I navigate being, a member, like an actual member of a church, like where it's not just, I'm just going because it's Sunday and it's just that time to go. Um, I think a lot of times also you can easily get kind of lost in the shuffle depending on what kind of church you go to. Like I think it's more prevalent than ever now that a lot of churches are like around the clock, like open around the clock. They have office hours, you know. A lot of churches now, especially if you have a building, you know, you are the building is getting used for stuff and there's an office number, there's a secretary, there's receptionists. A lot of churches now got schools, in there. They got different stuff, they got gyms and classrooms and just different things. Like the church I go to, they have a lot of ministries. And I think that, if you're not careful in getting involved in stuff, it's very easy to be like lost in the fold because you'll be wondering like, okay, how do I how do I kind of how do I make myself useful? You feel me? So I think that's something I just wanted to touch on as well. Um, just from my experience, starting from the beginning. The funny thing is, I was actually born um going to the church I'm at now. It's one of those like when you're born one place but you're raised somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like you're born in one state, but you ain't old enough to really recollect or remember like being where you were born, or what I mean, or going to school where you were born. Like, so, it's one of those things. So, of course I was born there. And then, going to church on the rock, which is the I call my childhood church. Um, I remember very early in my Christian life, like just getting involved. I did everything. You feel me? I've played drums before. I've, you know, I've done, I've ushered. I've sang on the choir. Don't judge me, but for a hot minute, I did sing alto in the choir. That was before my voice changed, whatever. Before puberty, I just kind of, you know, I guess my voice was high enough to where they thought that I wouldn't be able to sing tenor, whatever. Um, I've been a part of so I've been a part of a few ministries or done a few things in church. I come from I think I was in like that last generation of like how people be like when I was growing up in ministry, I was doing everything. I was playing the drums, I was serving, I was like in the tail end of that era of church. Um, so like even of what I can remember, they're just ins and outs of things, just getting involved. So that way, because I feel like even now, like this generation, I feel like they're involved in things, and by the time they get out of high school, I feel like they kind of have an idea of what they want to do. Some of them leave and go to college and don't come back. Some of them go away to college, and some of them do come back. You know what I mean? And like I said, like it's all about how you navigate it. Just doing stuff. Whatever your interest is. You know, with a church like the church I go at now, I feel like it's very easy to get involved in something because there's something for everybody. Like I think they have two ministries there that just started that have something to do with like how to handle grief. Like they have a lot of they gotta have like at least 20 something or more ministries. You know what I mean? So like it's very again, there's a lot for you to like get involved in once you join and all that stuff like that. You know what I mean? And honestly, I will say I think that's the benefit too of church, of getting involved. You know what I mean? Like I said, like you can really find community in the church, and especially if you find a community that fits you. You know what I mean? Like I feel like again, I think I said this before, like on my first stream doing this. It's almost like church can be a trade school. Like you can go to a church, like I can go to my church that I play at now, and I guarantee you, I'll find a handyman, I'll find I'll find a musician who can teach music, or I'll find a choir director who can teach music, who can read music. You'll find a hairstylist, you'll find a barber, you'll find, a guidance counselor, you'll find it like stuff like that. Like that's a benefit of really like being a part of a church and being like really locked in. Um, which is why again, like I really hate when like I see people like that's within the body of Christianity. Like I kind of hate when a lot of their posts on social media are like down in the church because I feel like it sends a bad message. You know what I mean? Like people make it seem like the church is just, the church is lost, the church is in trouble. I personally don't believe the church is in trouble, to be honest with you. I believe that again, we make statements like that based off of our personal experiences. Like the church scene in your city ain't the doesn't have the same narrative as the church scene in the city or on the city or the state that's two states away. You feel me? Like I feel like a lot of times, and the thing is crazy because like you'll see a post go viral about how whack a church is, about how whack the music ministry is, versus like you'll see a church that's actually doing something. And I'm talking about doing something outside of like having banging music. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's a dime a dozen. You know what I mean? Like you'll see a church, there's a church talk about, giving away millions of dollars, and won't like even people won't even make it viral Alex, what's good? ATL, what's good? Man, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. Thank you. And just talking about, we talking about being locked into a ministry and just like how we make or create a representation of church. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've seen posts where like churches are giving away, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it'd be like instead of it going viral, you'll see like everybody wants to talk about the church that's about to shut down or the church that's going into foreclosure. Like it's like it's like it's almost like one of the things where like it's what you make it. It's like okay, for example, it's like a church service, right? It's what you make it. If if you go into the church, for service and you're just like you just want to sit there and you just want to sit there and be a spectator and you kind of don't even really care to be there, like you're not going to get nothing out of it. You know what I mean? It's what you make it. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think that if we start putting churches who actually do stuff and make impact in the forefront instead of always talking about who's doing what, you know what I mean? Yeah, man. That's what's yeah, I actually heard something about New Birth. Um I think Pastor Bryant like skipped out on doing like the normal offering and they like decided to give back. That's what's up. Like that's what I'm saying. Like but you won't hear about that, and it's kind of sad because you know I know, like again, the standard is that we're supposed to be X, Y, and Z. I get that, but I think that giving back is like literally doing what the Bible says we're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like we're supposed to be giving to the poor. We're supposed to be, and even when I was saying back about like joining ministries, whatever, that doesn't have to be like the main objective, but at least again making the church look good to a point where like okay we can make the viral videos of churches giving away clothes because I feel like honestly, like I said, the church I can use them as an example because the church that I play at, they do stuff weekly. You know what I mean? Like they giving away stuff weekly. They giving away baby stuff weekly. They giving away book bags weekly. You know what I mean? They feeding people weekly. So you know what I mean? So I think that, it's sad that stuff like that goes unnoticed or like you'll see one or two posts about it, but then, the church that's going into foreclosure, you know, that's the hot topic. That's a church hot topic of the next 2-3 weeks. You know what I mean? And and again, like I think even, you know, sometimes I think we allow our personal feelings to get in the way of some of that stuff. You don't have to like a pastor in order to, you know, if they're pushing an initiative, if they're trying to feed the homeless, if they're trying to, you know, do stuff for the kids, like push that. Like it ain't got to be your church either. You know what I mean? We gotta make you don't. It's a shame because you don't really hear about when churches do like community days and stuff like that. You don't hear stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because there's mad churches that are in different cities where it's like, okay, you're in the middle of the hood and you never had anybody around that hood ask about your church. Like that's kind of sad. Like I feel like that's something that, that means that that church may not really be doing all they can do because the church should be like the refuge of wherever location they are at. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Churches have fish fries and churches do whatever, you know what I mean? And it's almost like, okay, you don't really hear about it until it's already over and you see like pictures from that day. You know what I mean? And I think that again, when it comes to making the church look good, it's like, okay, you got to remember there's people on your timeline who aren't saved. And I think the last thing that we should want is for people to get away from not wanting to come to church or be a part of us because they see something that you posted regarding your own people. I'll give this example. I'll give this example. Let's say, okay, I have a job, right? And every day I go to my friends or what have you, and I tell them how whack the job is. I tell them how everybody just they're just phony and whack, and the pay ain't really good, and the boss, the boss isn't really somebody that you want to talk to, and the conditions are bad. I say all that to you or to my friends, and then when my job is hiring, I go to those same people and be like, "Hey, we're hiring. Y'all wanna apply?" Like how do you expect for somebody to want to be a part of that? How do you expect for somebody to want to be a part of that kind of community or that job when every day, you know, they're being talked about in a way that does not want to make somebody want to be a part of that community or that workplace? That's how it is with the church. It's like, how can you post about how the church ain't got nothing but scammers and liars and cheaters and a bunch of dishonest people, but then think that you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna win souls now. Like, after you just made it seem like all church people do is steal and kill, not even kill, but deceive and lie and cheat. Like, you said all that about the church on Facebook, but you think I'm gonna go to your church? Nah, nah, we're not doing all that. Which is why even how we carry ourselves is important too, because some people may never ever want to step in a church house, but they may see you and be like, "Yo, like, what church you go to? Where that church at? Okay, I'm okay. I live around there. I got family that live around there. Okay, give me the address. Let me look it up. Y'all got service? Y'all got service online? Okay, let me look at, like, it's little stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, even when, like the Saints be killing me sometimes, because it's like we be taking pride in stuff, and it's like that's not, like, as a Christian, why would you want to be seen in that light? You feel me? Like, we got Saints that like to fight, right? And we got Saints that like to, they like to fight and they like to argue and they like to throw down or whatever. Okay. But it's like, you wearing that as a badge of honor though. Like, that's not like the person that has that same sentiment as you. They like to fight too, but they not saved. Like, they not trying to go into a place where, or they not trying to be, discipled by somebody who likes to fight, and they just don't care about that. They just like, okay, well, I like to fight. I'm just going, what I mean, whatever. Like, nah. Like, we got to think about stuff like that, because a lot of times the process doesn't even start once they join the church or once they start visiting a church. Like, it starts how they see you. It's about your witness. You know what I mean? Why church when you do the same thing I do? Why church when we both got anger issues that we proud of, but the difference is I'm not saved, you are. But the difference is I don't know better, you do. You feel me? Like why is it that I should, want to be discipled by you, and we got the same issue with stealing and lying, but the difference is you're saved, I'm not. Again, you know better, I don't. I'm looking for somebody that's the opposite. I want to be ministered to somebody who says, "Hey, I got anger issues too, but that's not how I want to be seen, because I belong to God, or because I want to do, like, I want to do my best to be a good example because of who and what I represent." Not somebody who's gonna post on Facebook and be like, "Man, listen, man, I'm like Peter, I'll fight." Like, bro, that characteristic of Peter was not some badge of honor. I feel like even some of the characteristics that we were, like, even shown in the Bible, like, I feel like that wasn't for us to be like, yeah, it's okay for me to like to fight because I know how to fight. I like fighting people. That's, because Peter did it, so that means I know I can do that. Like, nah. I feel like certain stuff like that, even my example of Peter, that's to show that God can use this person with this anger issue. They can use this person who likes to fight, but they can control the urge to be angry all the time and react off their anger. They have the Holy Spirit to where they can be angry without sinning. You feel me? Like I think that we take scriptures and we make it seem like, again, we wear it as like a badge of honor. Like, yeah, yeah, I can, yeah, I can, yeah, I like to fight. I still like to fight. Yeah, I love to cuss. I still do it. Like, nah, like that's not how that's supposed to go, bro. Again, the Peter situation. Like, yes, Peter, he had a little spicy attitude on him, but that wasn't to say, you know, where does the badge? Like no, nah. I actually saw a post of somebody, I guess, wondering, you know, and they're in the gospel industry, and I don't want to say names because like I'm not a messy person, but I'm just saying like I saw their posts about like why is it that as a gospel artist, why is it that that because I'm artist, I gotta let stuff slide. Um, it said more than that in the post, but that was pretty much the gist of it. And my thing, because I didn't want to post it, and I've come a long way, so I'm not the person to be like writing a post to respond to somebody else's post. Like, nah. But the comments kind of mirrored my sentiments in response to that. That ain't even about you being an artist or about you being a person with a platform. That's just that's just called being Christ-like. Seriously, like you shouldn't be trying to pop off on somebody. And again, and that's not saying take disrespect, but you don't wear it as a badge of honor that you want to slap people or that you want to punch on people. That's no. And like I said, even with that thinking, it's like you want people to try church while you being the only Bible that person sees, and you just coming off like you a crazy psycho because you like to fight, and even, and thank you. Okay, so I just thought about this too. You know, people use, and again, Christians do this. I'm not sure why, but they make a big thing with this Jesus flipping the tables thing. Like, like it's almost like y'all want. It's like y'all love Jesus. Y'all love the Jesus that flipped over the tables more than y'all love the one who commands us to love. Like, it's like when it comes to like loving one another, that's like a real struggle for like believers, and it's crazy. But when it comes to Jesus, when he flipped them tables, y'all be like hip hip hooray. It's like, bro, like that, do you even understand what you're even like reading when you read that part of the text? Like that's not even something that, again, Jesus wasn't violent. That was his moment of frustration. That wasn't him trying to pop off and throw hands. Like, and again, we post about that a lot, and it's like that's not even what that was for. He ain't flipping over tables because he want to box somebody. Like, no, he did that out of frustration. Like, he did that out of frustration. That was not some thing he did because he was trying to see what was said. What was said? What y'all talk, like? No, no, no. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because I even think about, again, we being the church, why be a part of our community of believers? It's funny because, people, it seems like some of the saints, they get bored, and they feel like some of the young preachers that are out now, some of them, the non-churchy ones, they feel like their preaching is like kind of like boring, or it's too much, it's too fundamental. But some of y'all Christians, y'all need to hear preaching and some teaching more than anything because you know, I, listen, I love a good teaching, but some of y'all Christians, y'all need a good teaching about your attitude. Y'all need to hear good teaching about how you like to fight. Like that's like, and again, I get it. That may be true, but you wearing it as a badge of honor, as if like God is cool with that. You know what I mean? Some of y'all need to hear a word about forgiveness. Some of y'all need to hear a word about, you know, turning the other cheek, controlling your anger, controlling what you say out your mouth. I was actually listening to something. I listened to a preacher today, and they mentioned about, how the word pretty much says, like how the Bible pretty much says, you know, you if it's not edifying, you shouldn't be saying it. And it's crazy because sometimes some of the messiest people and the messiest mouths are like the people in the church. And that's why even when people join ministries, they get saved and they join a ministry, it's very hard for people to join stuff because it seems like the further inside you get in a ministry, it seems like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing too much. I know too much. I joined I joined the ushers ministry, and I really got to see how mean Sister Usher was. Like, bro, it makes it hard for people to want to even be a part of a ministry because it's like, again, the further in they get to some things, it's like, bro, I done joined I done joined the greeters ministry, and come to find out, everybody in the greeter ministry is mean. They don't know how to talk to folk. It's crazy. But again, even in me saying this, I would never want to discourage somebody or make a post that discourages somebody or that would come off as discouraging someone to join the church, to be a believer, to believe in God, to trust God. Like, bro. And like I said, my issue is, and honestly, because it's Facebook, so some stuff is never going to change. I'm not saying people are not going to do it or people telling people to stop, but even in that, it's like, okay, there's a real imbalance between the good that you share and the bad that you share. Like you're posting about church folk doing people dirty. You post that way more than you post about your church that then had a community day, you know, the whole weekend, and you ain't mention nothing about it. Or you'll post a flyer about your church serving the community, but you won't put no caption on it. You just posting the flyer just to say that you posted it. Like, bro, I think that's the part that kind of makes it look a little iffy. There's a real imbalance of you post the mess, but but when it comes to like actually doing something that's meaningful within your church or ministry, it's like you don't hear about it until after the fact. It ain't viral. Somebody's church closing down is viral. You repost that and have all the jokes, but the church that raised enough money to pay off another church's debts or to pay off another church's bill or mortgage, that happens, but it falls like under the rug because that's not, you know, that's not the talk of the town or the talk of the week on social media compared to the church that's, again, facing foreclosure, or the church where the scandals taking place. Like, bro, even with this Marvin Winans thing, like you've heard about that for the past 2 weeks, right? But and he's one of my favorite pastors. But Pastor Mike Todd just had his conference, and even when it's not conference time, he has a thing for. giving away money to multiple churches at once, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like he has a thing of like paying off churches' debts and just sowing into them. You don't ever hear about it. Like you barely hear about it. And my algorithm, especially on Facebook, is churchy. So I see the Saints post all the time. I normally see all the viral church videos and church posts and church debates and all that stuff like that. Like I see that. And a lot of times, whether it's Mike Todd, whether it's Pastor Bryant, whether it's Apostle Clack, Bishop Jacobs, whether it's, what I mean, any of those churches, it's like they can give away something and it's like, oh, okay, that's nice. Okay, that's what's up. But it's like if something happens that's messy and that's drama filled in those same churches, you don't hear about it until almost a month is over. Seriously. And I think I think it paints a bad picture as if like the church is just good for mess. And I think it discourages people. Again, why church? Why church? And I think that'll help because people from the outside, they don't know the in and outs of church. They don't know. All they know is they expect different because it's the church. They expect people to be nice. They expect people to be gracious and humble and forgiving and kind, hospitable. You know what I mean? Like I said, like an unsafe person that likes to fight all the time, they not looking to be a part of a church where it's all the people there that like to fight and that don't care. Like, no, like that's nah, nah. Like they like in a, I try not to do this, but like the Bible says that the earth is waiting for I believe the manifestation of the kingdom of God or whatever. Something like that. Like they're waiting to see the difference. They're waiting to come across a culture, a people, a ministry that's different, that stands out. Not stands out in accolades or stands out in, you know, banging music ministries. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'll get back to that later. But like they're waiting for something that 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 sees them for where they are, and that you know they're waiting for that. You feel me? And I think one thing that also helps too, and that I help, people, even come closer to God, and even to get back to going to church. I think one thing is like we have to also like get uncomfortable. I feel like a lot of times we're comfortable, and this is me included. I'm not exempt. I'm not exempt. But I think that we have this thing where it's like we want to stay in our own little bubble, taking it back to the whole like even unity days. It's like unity days, especially like if you have a church or church picnics. A lot of times that stuff isn't just for the church. Like it's to get people in the community involved and get them hip to what y'all got going on. So when y'all have church picnics, in my mind, church picnics, church barbecues are not just for the church. It's not just for the church to have some like, okay, it's our time for our church to hang out, our church to, fellowship. Like, yes, that's a part of it, but I think that the community should still be on the church's mind. It should still be on the church's radar. Hey, we having this outside event. We want to also make sure that, we get the neighborhood involved so they can get to know us. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like being a real representation. And I even had this I want to give this just advise this as well. And again, this is for me too, because I'm very weird with people in general. So this ain't got nothing to do with even like being a part of a ministry or church. But I'm gonna say this too. We have to get out of our comfort zone when it comes to like evangelize it and setting an example. Sometimes you have to set an example by doing something outside of what you are accustomed to. Like I see people complain about stuff with the church, but I'm like, okay, but when's the last time that you did something at your church that was outside of the ministry you were assigned to? Like, like when's the last time that you did something like you're part of the music ministry? When's the last time that you did something though that didn't have to do with you having to play an instrument or sing a song? And then that's when it gets scary because all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, I don't do that." But how do you expect to win souls? How do you expect how do you expect people to want to try church when you hide behind the ministry you're in? I think everybody should give that a try, for real, for real. I think everybody should give that a try because again, it's easy to put the bad out there about the church because again, negativity travels way faster online these days. But I think that giving people a reason to try church is still the way to go. We're in a world where the wrong thing makes its way around the globe at an extremely faster pace than good news or things that happen that could benefit the church. Seriously, I think we should get back to that. Post good about the church. Like when your church has events and stuff like that, or any church, any good upstanding church, I feel like if they have something that they're doing, they're feeding the homeless, they're they're doing giveaways, they're doing stuff for the kids. Like post about that. Post about that because honestly, again, posting every day about how the church is just so in trouble and the church is just so they're in hot water and they're just oh my gosh the church is just so it they better stop it like bro come on enough enough because honestly when I see posts like that I want to comment under those posts about it and be like okay so what is your church doing because I'm pretty sure that your church is probably doing something for the community and you ain't posted about it yet. Are you even going to be there? Are you even going to be at the at the women's weekend, at the men's weekend? You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, I think that's something again that we gotta like think on the things, whatever's true, whatever's honest, whatever's lovely, whatever's good to report. Like, and that's the Bible, bro. Like, I think that again, and this is why I say, even outside of trying church, like even with talking to us believers real quick, like some of y'all need a teaching on the fundamentals. Like, the teaching on how to think, how to speak, how to treat your neighbor, how to handle your anger. Because, again, we wear that stuff, we wear our anger issues we wear being saved with anger issues, being saved with, cussing people out, or being saved and being mean. Like we wear that like it's a badge of honor. Like we wear it as if like, yeah, this is who I am. Yeah, like no. And then again, we use Peter being, turned up, or we use Jesus flipping over tables as like an enablement or an enabler to be like, oh yeah, yeah. Because when Jesus, I like when Jesus did that. Like, bro, that's not even why Jesus did that. Jesus was not flipping over tables, trying to fight. No, that was out of frustration. Like, and I repeat a lot of stuff because I want that to be something that's remembered in what I'm saying. These days, you have to say things over and over again. for it to be understood. Even sidebar, even an example of that, the songs that are put out today and non-gospel songs that are put out today, think about it. A lot of times sonically, the songs are whack. Let's be honest. Like the songs are whack. But the labels are paying top dollar so that those whack songs are in rotation at the radio stations. So as whack as that song is, and the same person that says it's whack is the same person that knows all the words now because they've heard it so many times. They've heard it so many times, or the person that they know sings it all the time, even if it's just the hook or the chorus. They know it so much, they've heard it so much, it's like, okay, now I gotta, it's in my head now. It's the same thing here. So if you hear a lot of me repeating stuff, it's for a reason. But again, we're talking about why church. I think people who are unsaved should, find a church. If you're unsaved and or if you just got saved, you're looking for a church home. I think that you should try church because, again, church is a place where if you need something, you'll likely find it. Like I said before, you'll find it. Trust me, and it ain't got to be no mega church. I promise you, you will find a little bit of everything in any church that you go to. You know what I mean? You'll find a hairdresser, you'll find a barber, you'll find a handyman, you'll find an electrician, you'll find somebody who can teach, teach music, teach grade school, kindergarten. You'll find a teacher who can teach you music, teach you how to read. Like that's the dope part about church. It's literally like a trade school. If you in there long enough, and if you make something of your time in a church and you take it seriously, like you'll find what you need at some point. Seriously. And if you can't find exactly what it is, you'll find the person who can direct you to that thing. Seriously. Seriously. And I think that, again, finding community is again, and especially in the time that we're living in right now, like you can't make it at any point on your own. Seriously. Seriously. And I think it helps, which is exactly why even how you post, it matters. Like it really matters because before they even think about stepping into church, they're reading your post. They're reading how you slander your own. They're reading how you think the church is just so whack and how the church is just always, they're just always messing up and like, bro, like that's just kind of that's that, you know what I mean? And I hope that we get better with that. I hope that we really start to highlight more about what the church is doing, you know, how the church is connecting with the community outside of the church, how the church is helping, the youth and feeding the homeless and providing shelter. Like I hope that we get more into that because again, it draws people in. People are looking for safety. We living in crazy times. We living in crazy times and it ain't gonna get no better. And we gotta, the church is gonna have a great a great reputation anyway because I mean Jesus is pretty much the center of it all. But let's help to draw people to him by actually like making him look great churchy, but magnifying him even on social media. Cause that'd be killing me, bro. There's people on my timeline where I'd be like, bro, do you have anything good to say? Do you have anything good to say? Like, oh my God, like I know you've been hurt. I know you've been, led astray. I know this person hurt you, but it's like, bro, you come on. Like I feel like at some point, like you should also encourage people at the same time to find a church or get connected to someone who can really help you and disciple you. Because a lot of times it starts even before they step into church. Again, we may be the only Bible that they come across. We and if they see that we're not, if they see that we're not edifying each other, and the words we speak aren't edifying, it's almost to them like, okay, what's the point? You don't even like your own people. Why should I be a part of that? Seriously, why church? You know, and I ain't gonna lie, I've had to be delivered from posting certain things. I've had to delete certain posts because I was wilding. But like, you gotta look at it long term. Like, if you feel like you gotta post something bad about the church, bro, take it to God or something. Go on your own personal prayer time and like let him know like these church folk is something else. Lord, if you don't do something, if you don't help me, I'm gonna make a whole long post alert kind of thing. And I think a lot of times the thing is with us too as Christians, I feel like we don't really view ourselves as one body. It's like you in your corner, I'm in my corner. You don't understand what I've been through, so you need to stay out of it. You stay over there. Like, nah, nah. I think that that's something that we got to get out of too. Why church? I believe in the church. No matter what I've been through, no matter what I've encountered, because I've had some experiences as well. I've had experiences as well, but I just don't have it in me to just, especially at my age, I'm 33. I don't have it in me to, every time I feel a way about the church, I make a post. Because again, like, you can't post bad about the church, but try to invite somebody to church. Like, I just feel like that's weird. Maybe that's just me. I just think that's weird though. Bro, the church is corny. They always stealing. They always, all they do is gossip, but then you want somebody to be in your church. That's weird. Again, my example from before. I tell you about my job being, whack and being underpaid and the people are whack, the people are mean, but then I try to get you to work at my job and apply. Nah. Like, to me, that's just that. No, no. Mm-mm. So that's something that I feel like we really gotta tighten up on, because I still believe no matter what scandal comes out, there's more good that's happening within the body of Christ than there is bad. I don't care what I don't care what the scandal of the week is. I don't care what the what the T is regarding the church. Nah, I still believe there's more good than anything. And I feel like, again, like, we got to be a part of the solution. And it's almost like we should treat it almost as if, like, like with our family, right? Or your significant other. My wife and I, If we have issues, right, and we have an argument, my first response is not to go on social media and be trying to like get people involved in it or to get people like to give their feedback or to get people to, give their 2 cents. Like, nah, you know what I mean? Because then people feel like they can give you their own commentary, and it's like, okay, it ain't even like that. You done made it a whole nother thing. Like that's how I feel like we should treat it. Like it's a family thing. Like we don't discuss family stuff to the outside people. They don't know the dynamic of our family. Even when we disagree with something, like they don't know the dynamic. They don't know that, you know, we we the way we butt heads, it may look a little crazy from the outside. So we're not gonna like show people that, you know, when we get, we butt heads. Like, nah, that's how it should be. And even from the inside, like I feel like we gotta be kinder to each other, even with that. Because again, we don't want people from the outside to see, oh wow, they're mean. Oh, they like to argue. No, you don't want nobody to see that. You know what I mean? Again, why church? Why church? I'm about to wrap up in a few, but I definitely wanted to get that off my chest because I think that again, we give people, especially non-believers, we give them more of reasons to not try church than we give the reason to try church. Because a lot of times it's on the thing like, okay, the music is dope, the choir be killing, the band kills, but I don't really like the way they talk to, like I don't like the way the ushers, the greeters, the members, like again, I don't like the way, that post about so and so's church. I didn't really like that. That didn't sit well with me. So I don't know if I want to try church because that post came off kind of crazy. Seriously. But trying church will give you a sense of belonging, a great sense of family. Again, you'll find what you need, especially in the right church, bro. You'll find yourself a whole nother family because you gave the right church a try, because you put yourself around people who genuinely care about what you got going on, and they want to be a blessing to you, whether it's monetarily, whether it's, you know, or I should probably say financially, whether it's financially, emotionally, even physically. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that matters, which is why it's not good to maybe post things and make the church look like something that you should stay away from, or you post things and you make people feel like, well, I'm already going through that in my own life. I don't need to go to something where I got to worry about the same thing. You know what I mean? Let them see the good. Like, let them see the good. Let them see that, okay, you know what? It can't be that bad. It got to be, at least it looks better than what I'm in right now. At least it looks better than what I've been going through for the past few weeks or for the past few years. Like, make them feel like what we got going on is going to make so much of a difference. Seriously, let them see that versus posting about what you don't like about the church, your negative commentary versus you always talking about how the church is in trouble. Because if I was not saved and I always seen posts like that, I would not want to go to church. I would not be interested. So that's my stance on that. Sorry, my son's calling me. Brayden, what do you what? Why are you sad? Don't be sad. Be happy. Yeah. Mhm. So, as I wrap up, I want to say this. This is for the saved folk, and I want to be clear. Don't get wrapped up in these smooth, good talking preacher teachers that be saying stuff that ain't Bible, bro. I saw a post about pretty much saying that like the God of the Bible and God is not the same thing. The Bible literally says that in the beginning the word was God and the word was with God. You cannot separate God from the word. You can't separate God from the Bible. That's impossible. That's impossible. And I also want to say this. This is okay, this came to my mind just now. Thanks God. Um the best way to know about God, to know Jesus, to know things about him, about what he likes, about what he doesn't like, about um what grieves him, what upsets him, the things he hates, the things he wants, the thing that, to learn about what he wants for you, about how he wants you to live. The best way to know those things are the Bible, not through your experiences alone, not through just your experiences alone, not through just going with the flow. Nah, it's the Bible. I just want to remind somebody. I saw a post a while ago about that, and I just want to let people know that if you want to know Jesus, you want to get to know God and how he does things and what he wants for you and what he hates, what he loves, you go, you read the Bible. And it ain't even got to be on no type of time where you got to study and look up different crazy words. Like, no, read the Bible and you will find out all those things. I think I saw a post about somebody saying, you don't have to use the Bible to know God. Like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's the only way to know, you know what I mean? Like, because even when it comes to even prayer, like, how do you even know what to pray unless you read your Bible? How do you know how to pray to him concerning your loved ones, your enemies, yourself, if you don't read the Bible? That's, come on now. That's almost like trying to get to know somebody, but you trying to get to know them just by going on their Facebook page or their IG page. No, you get to know them by talking to them. You spend time with them. Same thing with God. You literally, you literally get to know God, reading his word, praying, spending time with him. Sorry, that's my son. But that's literally what it is. Again, you don't get to know somebody that you want to get to know by just going on their Facebook page or going on their, you know, going on their Instagram, and then you just randomly hit them up talking about something. So yeah, I want to take you out to XYZ. And if the whole time it be a place that they don't even like because you never got a chance to know, you never actually spoke to them. You don't know them. That was my side little, ending, my ending topic right there. Because again, I'll be seeing posts a lot about how people like try to separate God from the Bible. Like, you can't do that. You can't separate God from the Bible. That ain't it. That ain't it. Like, again, you literally know God and his character. You know what he expects from you. You know what he expects from, you know, your own your own agenda in life. You find out again what he hates, what he loves. Again, you even learn how to pray the right way by reading the Bible. And again, I think that, you know, it helps because you don't want, like, again, I don't want to say your prayers is not gonna make it up, but you can be praying something that's not even God's will, all because you don't read your Bible to know that that ain't what God. Mm-mm, nope. Because like I said, you can be. I say it again. You can literally be praying something, and based on the word, you ain't praying nothing biblical. You just you just giving God a wish list, and the whole time he's like, "That ain't what I got for you. That's not my plan for you. That's not some. That's not what I have in mind for you." And that's the great thing about being a Christian and having something like the Bible is that, like, it literally gives you a blueprint for stuff like that. It gives you the blueprint for, you know, forgiving, being disciplined. It gives you the blueprint for, you know, how to get to know God for yourself, or again, how to forgive your neighbor, how to treat people who offend you, how to treat people who want the worst for, like, it says it all. You know, it's not just some rule book that just tell you what you can and can't do. It has a bunch of cause and effect scenarios as well. So that way when you get into stuff, you know how to get out. You know how to get that way of escape and find that way to scare you out of there. I think again, I think that you again, you just can't separate God from his word. That's just, that ain't it. And people will make it seem, people will try to say it in a way where they want to make it seem like it's cool. Oh, like you don't need it. Just, just live life. And no, because even the Bible tells you how to live life. It tells you how to, you know, how to make sure that you're disciplined. How again, it tells you all that stuff. You know what I mean? So if anybody tries to tell you that you don't need, the Bible for X, Y, and Z, nah. For those of you who are not saved yet, I want to tell the unbelievers this. When you get to know God, it'll be because you read your Bible. Your Bible is literally the thing that's going to connect you to him. Seriously. It will teach you everything you need to know. It's almost like a manual. Nobody reads manuals like that, but come on, Brayden. Nobody reads manuals like that, but a lot of times, depending on what you're trying to use or what you're trying to get to work, you don't know how to use certain gadgets unless you read that manual. When you're trying to put together something, you're trying to put together a crib for a baby, or you trying to put together a nightstand, you will not even know how to identify the parts that go where if you don't read that manual that has all the labels on it. The manual that has, what kind of screw, what size screw to put where, like, it's just like that. As a believer, the Bible is literally the lifeline to get to know the Lord and to navigate through life. And that's real talk. So don't let nobody make you feel like, oh, you don't need the Bible. Just go ahead and live your life and just be disciplined. Like, okay, so what happens if they not? What if they're having trouble with being disciplined? I promise there's a story for that. I promise you there's some kind of parable, there's some kind of story that addresses discipline, that addresses honesty, that addresses loyalty, that addresses, you know, being in good health, like all that stuff. And I'll say it again. That's just like somebody trying to put together a nightstand or trying to put together um a table or trying to put together a crib for a baby. Like, you're not gonna put that together successfully without looking at that manual. You're not gonna be able to, put the pieces together and it come out looking the way it's supposed to without looking at looking at the directions. Because what happened is you won't be able to put it together because you'll be stuck looking at a bag full of tools. You'll be looking at a bag full of the little wrenches and the screws and washers and all that, and you'll be like, what is this? All because you didn't read the manual. You didn't think it was essential. You thought you didn't need it because you know you thought you could just look at the picture and be like, oh, that's easy. I'll just make it look like what's on the box. Nah. You need God's word. God is his word, literally, because it'll also teach you that God won't tell you anything that's not in his word. Like, that's the great thing about it. There's nothing in the Bible that contradicts itself. Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. And again, that's the best part about that's why you can't separate them. That's what makes God trustworthy, because you know that since in the beginning the word was God, is God, was with God, that he would never tell you something that goes against what's in his word. Like, he won't tell you something and you'll be like, but that don't say that, and like, nah, he ain't going, you know, mm-mm. Not my Jesus. You can't play him like that. No, sir. Nope. That's the greatest part about it. He ain't gonna lie to you. He's not gonna give you false hope. He's not going to, he's not going to make you feel like you got duped, or make you feel like you got played, or make you feel like, he left you out there, and just let you just drown. Nah. If you want to know what he likes, dislikes, read that word. Him and that word is like this. And he won't tell you nothing that's not in there. So, just a little encouragement for some people. Thank you to those who dropped in. I feel like the most we had in here was like 5, from what I could see. Thanks for everybody who chimed in. I only see the homie Alex from YouTube. Um, so thank y'all for tuning in again. So just to let y'all know, um, when I'm doing this, I'm live on Facebook at Brandon Cunningham. I'm on YouTube at He's Just Churchy. Yes. And I'm on Twitch at He's Just Churchy. And I'm still learning about Twitch because I feel like Twitch is a totally different monster. So I can't wait till this like picks up and then we kind of learn more about Twitch. I tried to I actually tried to go live on all my platforms, on 3 of the same platforms on Sunday, but my mix sounded really crazy, so I'm gonna probably take that video off of Twitch. I already took it off of Facebook, but can you? But yeah. So hopefully I can get to a point where like I can go live like at any point. Again, I got big plans for this, so stick with me. I'm gonna be. I'm gonna try to be as consistent with this as possible. You know, just bear with me. I got a whole family, so you know I first of all, I'm 33, so I ain't got the time to be really going live all the time like these other people be doing. But I'm gonna try to make as much of this as I can. I do want to interview people. I do want to have people on here. I do want to talk to people that everybody knows and loves. Like I'm gonna definitely do all that. So just stick with me as I stick with it. But again, thanks for everybody for tuning in. I don't take it for granted. Even if you don't say anything or you just log in for a couple seconds, you don't have to do that. You don't have to listen to me at all, but I appreciate everything. So you can follow me again in those platforms I mentioned. You can follow me on Facebook or add me on Facebook, Brandon Cunningham. You can add me on subscribe on YouTube at He's Just Churchy, and on Twitch you can follow me, subscribe, and do all those little donation thingies. On Twitch at He's Just Churchy as well, and on Instagram at b.drums. That's B as in boy, D as in David, OTD as in David, RUM as in Mary, Z. Um, honestly, just a small footnote. I'll be wanting to clip some stuff, but I don't like hearing myself talk. So hopefully I can overcome that or have somebody do that for me because I don't like, hearing myself talk. So yeah, hold on. So yeah, so again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll be back next week. And if not next week, the week after that. Thank you guys, and I'll see. Oh, okay. One more thing, and another thing. Um, if you need a church to go to, if you stop, if you need a church, you have one service, and that's at 10 o'clock, and it be packed. So if you want to go there and visit, make sure you get there on time or early to get a good seat. So again, why church? It'll bless your life if you go to the right place and you get in touch with the right people. Because everybody's not gonna be perfect, but make sure you get around the right people so you can get what you can get and then be a blessing to somebody else. Because we're blessed to be a blessing. So again, thank you guys for coming in, tuning in, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.